This game is scuffed as fuck. I think most of the imbalance of Smite 2 comes down to a lack of items brought over from Smite 1, because when you look at the stats and the power scaling of the characters, they're actually about the same as before, if not maybe slightly buffed, maybe slightly fucking gutted. Like Hades' base damages and scalings being nerfed and abused to being so dog shit, he can barely wave clear with items because he was apparently broken that one time in the beta, and now he's practically unusable right now versus actual humans that play and lock into the game. He gets utterly rolled all throughout the game by every decent pick in every one of his main roles, and for off-rolling, he can get abused early in the jungle by the meta, and people just play meta junglers every game because that's just a standard of that role, so good luck piloting him there. So in my opinion, he's just legitimately unplayable in the state versus real humans, and he's not even comparable to a Smite 1 variant at the moment. Next up, Ares especially feels terrible compared to his Smite 1 variant because he's entirely dependent upon items as a character since his base abilities have long cooldowns and inconsistent damage, and he has no horrific emblem currently in the game to increase his chances of his slower than usual feeling chains being hit, which just all around make him feel bad to play compared to the other gods that can just have 10 times his impact on support. And after Ares comes Anubis. Anubis has a similar case like the previous two of the worst fucking early game you've ever seen in your life, but at least when this god comes online, he comes online, because he actually has a pretty alright build path, and he actually performs his role, being able to carry with solid damage and the utility of having a stun in his kit to guarantee his abilities. His ultimate is a bit jank feeling with the initial delay, but when it hits, that shit feels nice, man. On the other end of the power scaling pie, there's the obviously broken gods. Exodia, Bacchus, walking around on some Cassante type shit, one-shotting 5 people while being unkillable because he offensively scales with defense while having good base damages and utility. Sometimes it's kinda good to look outside of the bubble of Smite to see what works and what doesn't, game design bros. That shit was a bad idea from the start. Susanoo having such brain-dead base damage, he can just walk you down level 2 with 0 real counterplay while scaling disgustingly well with his ratios on his abilities. Neith having the greatest fucking mid-lane phase of all time, nerf Neith's HP regen and mana regen because she can just spam abilities on the wave with 0 real punishment, and any damage dealt to her is instantly healed, either off of her broken ass 2 or the fact she has infinite HP regen in early levels, and then she scales disgustingly hard like Susanoo. Nerf Neith, nerf Neith, nerf Neith, nerf. Soul being the best ADC currently in the game with barely any real contest when running strength and crit because she has an attack speed steroid while hitting you for 600 auto attack damage minimum late game while being nigh unkillable due to building lifesteal and her copious amounts of self peel on top of all this bullshit. That being her movement speed steroid and slow breaking 3, giving her a slightly delayed beads and Aegis while being able to buy Aegis. She can just walk through Ymir while in the 3-2. And then her ult just has a fucking knockback too, because why not? Jingwei only barely trails behind Soul because she doesn't have relatively low cooldown beats and Aegis on a basic ability, but she makes up for it with having AoE nuke autos that are just guaranteed to crit while having a similar attack speed steroid, and only slightly worse survivability than Soul, so whoop-de-fucking-do. They're both like top of their class, so it doesn't really matter that much. And that's the top and bottom of the power scale. Everybody else is relatively comparable with each other for better or for worse apart from these gods. At the moment, in terms of class potency, I think the current power split would actually go something like Hunters or ADC are better than Warriors, which are better than Assassins, who all have a power gap over Guardians, assuming Bacchus, the exception, is nerfed eventually, which are better than Mages. I don't think the game needs too many buffs and nerfs at the moment since I swear to Hades, the meta will be shifted once certain gods get their proper items and build paths to run with. Delivering ability buffs and nerfs on some of the weaker gods at the moment might power creep the game, so the balancing team has to be really careful with what they decide to change in the future. That's my thoughts on Smite 2. I think it's in a playable state right now, but it needs more items and relics from Smite 1 to make it go from being in a decent state to a good state to play, as most gods just lack their optimal build paths and a clear identity and playstyle at the moment, with certain top tier exceptions present in the game. But I'm just a shitty toxic Hades one trick, what do I know? See ya.